Right from the beginning, we've believed in basics that credit, or more broadly, financial services, are necessary but not a sufficient condition to promote livelihoods or to alleviate poverty. And the add-ons are things like technical assistance, training, productivity enhancement, market linkages, building producer organizations so that they can get better terms. So all of that is a necessary add-on to just the financial services skeleton. Uh, at the same time, those services don't necessarily have strong revenue models. So Basics has spent the last 6 years building, first pilot testing and then building strong revenue models for providing each of these services. For example, we right now have 250,000 customers who pay us for agriculture extension and livestock development services. We have more than 1 million customers paying us for fees for microinsurance and so forth. Unfortunately, our whole sector globally, not just in India, is much more focused on microcredit rather than micro savings. What poor households are looking for is really composite financial services. They want to go to the same outlet and get the ability to save, the ability to borrow, to repay, to get remittances, to buy insurance, all from the same doorstep actually. And right now the regulatory frameworks are such that these are all silos and it's hard to do it from the same distribution outlet. If you're really dealing with very small loans, sub 100 USD, the group methodology is actually is a very good way of reducing transaction costs. But when some of the customers graduate, and not all will graduate to say $200 or $500 loans, the institution should be able to have alternative ways of dealing with them, such as using joint liability groups of maybe only 5 people, and then eventually even individual loans, if people get to $1,000 loans. So essentially, I think we need to, the microfinance institutions need to be not wedded to one methodology, as many of them are. They need to innovate. We began with long-term soft loans from the Ford Foundation, the Swiss Development Cooperation, and the Tata Trusts. And right now I'm in the middle of negotiating equity deals with some MIVs as well as 1 or 2 private equity players. So what happens is that the same organization, the same senior team has to have a skill set which literally, and sometimes in the same weeks, I am dealing with very poor people and their issues in villages, and then going to Mumbai and dealing with capital market and those issues. And while personally it is very challenging, and if we can do it well, it's very satisfying. But I don't think that kind of broad spectrum of competencies are possible in too many organizations, and therefore we need to find some other architecture, where you don't subject these organizations to such a diverse set of competencies. I don't know of anybody else who in the corporate sector who has to deal with such a diversity. It's important that we rethink the lessons of mainstream finance, irresponsible lending, predatory practices, and non-transparency. All of this needs to be avoided because it will eventually implode the sector. Investors, for example, need to also have a more long-term view of this industry rather than do short-term transaction maximization. Lenders should use lenders' discipline as a device. They don't have to be on the boards, but each time they're giving a big loan, they need to figure out that it's being used broadly along the right principles. I don't mean moral policing, but I think the sector is still too young for it to die a premature death because some people kind of lose sight of why it was set up in the first place.